Hey, what is up everybody? This is Chan, and today we'll be doing an in-depth review of the best PC build ever made back in 2010. We'll be going over through the monitors, the keyboards, the mouse, and the tower, and the components that I purchased all together and built it all myself. So let's get started. Going first into the monitor, I bought the Acer monitor 17.5 inch for, at a pretty low price, and has, exceeded every one of my expectations. The pixels for this monitor in itself is 1440. The refresh rate is really high at 144. And being that I never needed anything bigger than the 17.5 monitor size, I never wanted to increase in size, and up to this day it still works perfectly fine. The details are very crisp in it. Gaming wise, the outlines are very clear. Project rendering, project modeling, software response is very, very crisp. You can see all the fine details. Rendering doesn't take long when you're putting together models or when you're putting together videos, and so I like it a lot. Got this bad boy for probably about close to 120. It was pretty low, and I'm glad that I have purchased it. So you can see here is my keyboard and my mouse setup. Pretty advanced for its time back in 2010. These were limited models that was only released to the VIP members back in Logitech back in 2010. So I got myself a 510 series gaming mouse, and then I got myself a 400 series carbon keyboard. Like I said, it wasn't released out to the public. No media has known about it, and I was one of the very first ones to get this gaming set all together for probably about 50 bucks only. And remember, this was back in 2010, and this technology was pretty advanced at its time back then. But knowing me and my addiction to gaming and software, and also retail products like this, it was a really good deal for me to go in and get it. Okay, here we go. The most important part of the video, and the most exciting part, I would say, is the build itself, the components that I had to get all by myself, doing the multiple hours of research to see what it would take to become the best build of 2010. Got a consumer rating of, a 9.9 out of 10. Can't exactly get a 10 out of 10 because that would be the perfect build, but instead this is just the best build that everybody's ever voted for. So gave it a 9.9 out of 10. As you can see, I got the Cooler Master Elite, the 430 series. It is a pretty small tower, but in itself, big things, come in small towers, right? And so with this, I was able to outmax my performance in gaming, and with such a small setup, it was very compact, and I was able to put it in places that people wouldn't imagine that it would fit in. And with this Cooler Elite Master 430 series, the case in itself, what I like about it is that it has a sliding door function, so that you're able to get to the inside very quickly. And we'll go and talk through the backside here shortly, but afterwards I just want to open up this sliding door and talk through it first, about the components. And just looking at the 430 series itself, there's multiple meshes around the case that gives it its maximum cooling range. From the performance overheating, there's these mesh windows that'll provide cooling, and if you move over to the front, there's 1, 2, 3 ports of cooling for performance itself, so that it stays cool, and it's pretty good that way. It just stays under the minimal temperature range, which is under 60 degrees, and that's at its most maximum output performance, and it never goes up, you know, to 75 degrees, right? And so it always stays cool. You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, builds out there being liquid cooled, but that's not the case. Liquid cooled is just fancy. There's really no facts behind it to state why it cools. And in itself, if you just stick to standard traditional practices, this is the best. And then just continuing, let's go ahead and take out these sliding door components that I'm now taking off right here, right? So it's just these two little screws that I'm taking off, and then this door will go ahead and slide off. Boom, just like that, right? Let's go ahead and put it down. All right, now going into the components itself, you know, so I got the ASRock Z77 Pro 3 motherboard. In its time, it was probably one of the best boards to purchase out there, and I got it at a fairly good deal, probably around the range of $250. And what makes the Pro 3 so good is, as you can see, it has all of these capacitors that's placed around the motherboard, you know, to distribute power evenly to all the cards that you're going to be putting in here, right? And as you can see, this is an Intel setup, and back in its time, back in 2010, 5th generation core processors were the best that's out there, and I got myself a i5 core processor that's just sitting right behind this fan right here, and it was pretty tricky to put in at first, but once you get the once you understand how to put everything together, it becomes really easy. And as you can see, the power supply right here, you know, is really great. It was able to maximize all of the power delivered to all of my components, and at the same time gave me great savings on power reduction as well. And as you can see here, if we get into this right here, this is the front mounted cooler fan that was purchased to blow air out into the front, and also the fan right there to blow air out into the back. And I also have another fan right there that blows air out into the back as well. So with this setup, you know, with only 3 fans, keeping the tower cool and keeping my components cool was pretty good back in 2010. You know, there's a lot of builds back in 2010 where you have 8 to 10 fans just to keep your system cool, but that's not necessarily the case. You know, at a minimum, 3 fans was enough, and if you read the reviews, 3 fans is all you need. You know, so going into the graphics card in itself, this is the GTX 1070. Back in 2010, there were very limited releases on these graphics cards, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first ones in line to go ahead and get this 1070. And since then, it has not been released until, you know, up in the 2018s and the 2019s. So I was very lucky, very fortunate to get something that's of, you know, that hasn't even been built yet, that's been rated, you know, back in 2010 as one of the best running graphics cards out there. And so I'm very fortunate to get a graphics card of this size and of this performance at such a low price, you know. And so just going back to the motherboard itself, you know, there's the card setup right there, and I also have, you know, 2 DDR3 I also have, you know, 2 DDR3 sticks right here, which gives me, you know, maximum data point scanning, and also helps me with the refresh rates as I, you know, optimize my maximum gaming performances. You can't really see. Maybe if I can just do some sort of a focus on it. There you go. You know, see, there you go. It says, you know, XMS3. And so just by looking at it, you know, it gives me 8 gigs per stick, so I'm up to 16 gigs of memory performance and memory refresh, and so that's pretty good in itself. 16 gigs was a big deal back then, And not a lot of people were able to figure out that 16 gigs was what gave you maximum performance rather than 8 gigs, and so everybody just bought one stick. But for me, with the ASRock Z77 Pro 3 motherboard, since it did come with 2 slots, I bought 2 sticks and maximized my performance on my PC. And so that was one thing that was never hinted, and you have to figure it out for yourself to go ahead and purchase 2 sticks instead of 1 stick. And so with that, is the review of my PC. Everything in itself is very solid. The 5th generation core processor runs really well. The fan in itself runs really strong. It almost goes up to at least 10 horsepower, and not a lot of these fans are very strong out there, as of to date. You're probably running at about 2 to 3 horsepower for your processing fan, and very grateful that Intel does such a good job on a 10 horsepower processing fan. Going down into the GTX 1070 itself, hasn't been overclocked yet. There's no reason why there's no reason why I should even be overclocking to begin with. Maximizing performance, maximizing graphics, maximizing my frame rates. All of this stuff is done on a standard 1070 setting, and there's no need for me to manually push it and overclock it. As you can see, I don't really need to do so. This power supply in itself is from Rosewell, and it's an 80-watt generator, which means that it can produce, twice as many, if not 3 times as much power as your standard power supply. And that means that every port that runs in here and every single cable and fiber that is ran through this tower is being optimized at its best when having 100% current running through. You get a lot of power supplies that also gives this demand, but over time it dies out, right? You're starting to get 90% current, 80% current, and almost going down to 50% current, at the month ending. So for me, for having dug into my research and getting a power supply that will always give me 100% current throughout the years, is something unbeatable and something that you will never ever see, right? And so power supply, my graphics card, my processor, my motherboard, my 3 fans, that's all you ever really need, to get through and make it the best build, back in 2010. And as we're speaking, it's 2020, and this thing is still standing, still performing, still top notch, still highest rated build out there. And this is why this is so hard to let go, is because this is such a inexpensive build, but yet when it goes back onto the market, the appreciation values of this build can skyrocket 10-15 times the build of what I built this for, And old things, they have they don't have their way of dying, is how people say it. And this guy is definitely, a keeper. And if we were to go back onto the market, after doing some extensive research, if we were to go back onto the market, you can probably sell this for, up to $3,500 if you wanted to. I mean, you can even get close to $4,000 if competitive bidders were getting in, And not to mention that, if I did upgrade some of these components, you'd probably be even looking at a $5,500 or $6,000 build, And that's just what this is, This is why this is so hard to let go of my PC because of the extensive research I've put into it, the time I've put into it, and the performance it gave back to me is very top notch, you know, of its highest quality back then, you know, in 2010. So moving aside from the components, let's go ahead and take a look at the backside of the tower. So moving on into the backside of the tower, you know, there's the power supply that comes out, just an on and off switch button, pretty standard. And as you can see here, you know, there's all these slots that you're able to use. You know, there's a lot of the USB 3.0s that you can go ahead and use. There's the Ethernet connection. And just one thing about this that was very cool in itself was that this tower came with Wi-Fi receptors, and that was one of the coolest things ever, is because these Wi-Fi receptors in itself, you know, they're able to read off on the signal that your modem is running off in your space, and this actually boosts up your signal strength and gives it a dedicated dedicated circuit to run, and so that you're almost fully independent from having to rely on Ethernet connection or a wired connection, as they would say. And these Wi-Fi receptors were also pretty inexpensive, you know, probably close to 120, 140, and they are insane. You know, if you go to an area with low connection or low signal strength, and you turn on your PC, what this will actually do is these receptors, they will go ahead and transform that low signal strength to a high signal strength, and therefore optimizing your best chances of getting a good connection to your games, so that you're able to perform at maximum you know, performance. And so with that, you know, this you know, concludes the build of, you know, the best build that was rated back in 2010. And so if you would like to see more videos, please contact me or email me and we can discuss more.